I heard recently a friend of mine, maybe you know him, Michael, has this podcast about homecoming to Israel. Very, very vibrant, enthusiastic, lover of Eretz Yisrael.
So something pretty amazing just happened. Mikl Wardro was on our program this past Sunday, and he made a comment about the rabbis in Chutz La'aretz, or the rabbis on Torah anytime, how they relate to this week's portion, Parsha Shlach. And Rabbi Breitowitz, in a recent video, commented on Mikl Wardro's comment. So what I'm going to do is first we're going to play the comment that Mikl Wardro made on our channel. Then we're going to play Rabbi Breitowitz's reaction, and then we're going to talk about it. Let's go.
I went on Torah Anytime, looking at every year I go on Torah Anytime, take a look at the speeches from all the nice rabbis on Parsha Shlach. And it's pretty difficult for a rabbi to actually say what the Parsha says if he's living in America. So you have, some rabbis will choose to dwell on the last few Pesukim about tzitzis. Some rabbis will take the Parsha of Shlach and say, we shouldn't rebel against Hashem, we shouldn't speak Lashon Hara about anyone, and everyone somehow twists and turns, and Eretz Yisrael is at the center, the big elephant in the room, and everyone's trying to finagle their Parsha shir. How do they not talk about what the Parsha is about?
So, pretty powerful words. Now let's take a look at Rabbi Breitowitz react to Mikl Wardro's comment, and he's going to add on something very, very frightening. So I want you to listen to the end of that clip, and then we'll talk about it. I'll meet you on the other side. Let's go.
Maybe you know him, Michael has this podcast about homecoming to Israel. Very, very vibrant, enthusiastic, lover of Eretz Yisrael. Kind of tough. He doesn't give any excuses for Chutz La'aretz at all. And he says that all the American rabbis, when it comes to Parsha Shlach, they'll always try to avoid, they'll never use it as the notion of coming to Eretz Yisrael. They'll talk about, you see the Aveira of Lashon Hara, or you see the lack of Emunah, the lack of Bitachon. But they never want to zoom in on the ultimate message of the importance of living in Eretz Yisrael. Of course, I would be preaching to the choir to kind of talk about that, because all of you are here. But certainly that is one of the great lessons of the Parsha, that if you want to be zocheh to the closeness of Hashem that one gets by living in Eretz Yisrael, one has to love the land. One has to yearn for the land. Indeed, there are so many reasons to complain. Everything the Meraglim said was in fact not false. It was not a lie. How tough it was and the great, great enemies. But the answer is, Af al pichen, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you this land, it's going to be good. It is right. And the notion that because there are hardships, therefore don't do it, is really connected the whole hashkafa of the Torah, which is all about encountering hardships and going forward with it, going kadima in it. So this is an important lesson to think about. Obviously, I am not going to sit in judgment on people who have made various decisions for various reasons. But once again, many have said that in the United States at least, and certainly in Europe, Kal v'chomer in Europe, the handwriting is on the wall, that it might be time for Jews to kind of get out. Baruch Hashem, New York had a beautiful parade in honor of Israel. But one very important person in New York City happened not to show up. That was Mamdami. And even though not showing up to a parade may not be that important. I mean, I probably wouldn't have gone to a parade either. It's not a big deal, but it sends a signal. And that signal can easily translate into negative and even destructive behavior. If people see that the mayor doesn't really care about this, even though that not showing up may not be the biggest thing in the world, that could chas v'shalom lead to a lot of negative consequences. And maybe, just maybe, and I'm not a Navi so I can't say that, but maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us it is time to come home. Because people can come to Eretz Yisrael either because of the pull theory or the push theory. The pull theory is, I come here because it's holy, it's good, it's the land that God promised us, it's the land where there could be Kirvat Elokim, it pulls me there. But there's another way to get here, and that is push, meaning to say things are so bad there that, I got to push. So pull is better than push, for sure. But the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu operates in the world, if the pull isn't strong enough, it sometimes gets augmented by the push. And perhaps that is, again, I'm not a Navi, I'm not going to start telling you this is the way it is, but perhaps HaKadosh Baruch Hu is showing us, unfortunately, a number of pushes to kind of get our attention and to realize that this is where the Jewish people should be. So Be'ezras Hashem, Parsha Shlach is a time to think about that in a lot of ways.
So now I want to just address what Mikl Wardro and what Rabbi Breitowitz are addressing. And that is, in Eretz Yisrael this week we read Parshas Korach. Now, imagine I would tell you that the story of Korach was that we take the pans and we nailed them into the altar. After the earth swallowed them up, they took the 250 copper pans and they made it part of the Mizbech. And we talk about how we've taken something that was used for idol worship, and we now use that for part of the Mizbech, how we bring things up. And that's the whole story. So if we did that, we'd be missing the heart of the story of Korach. And the same thing with Parshas Shlach. You see, yes, there was a Chet HaMeraglim. The spies did sin. And yes, it's very convenient, and it's possibly even true, that the leaders had the power to change the Jewish people's minds. But the real core of the sin is not that the spies sinned. That in itself is a pretty bad sin. It's a terrible sin. But if we look in Deuteronomy, and if we look in Parsha Shlach, the story of the Parsha is the story of the Jewish people not wanting to go to Eretz Yisrael. You see, Hashem could have made it that it was mandatory. Why did God make it optional? Why is the commandment to move to Eretz Yisrael optional? And the reason, my friends, is because Hashem wants us to want it. Now, I'll tell you something very, very powerful. That the real thing that we could ever want to do is to ask Hashem that His will be done. Meaning, the highest level prayer we could ever make is say, Hashem, your will should be done. And that prayer, my friends, is always answered. And the answer is always yes. Because Hashem's will always is done. The only question really is, can we change our will to be like Hashem's will? Thank you for watching. Shavua Tov from just outside Jerusalem in the holy city of Ramat Beit Shemesh. Shalom. Thank you for watching.